So some things we know about this. So the second derivative, if it's positive, we're going to have, generally speaking, something that's convex. And if it's negative, we're going to have something that is concave. And remember, convex and concave are about, I draw my secant. Secant is below the line. It's concave. I draw a secant. Secant is above the line. It's convex. Yeah. 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 Okay? Slope is negative because it's decreasing. It's increasing at a decreasing rate. It's increasing at an increasing rate. Okay? Now, you're saying, who cares? Well, let's just look at a curve that goes like this. Okay? That curve, the slope's getting smaller, 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 hits 0, and then the slope turns negative. Yes? So second derivative is, right, less than 0. I was going to write equals negative, but you know what I mean. It's negative. The slope is positive, the slope is negative, but the second derivative is always going to be negative. It's going to be below 0. That means that there's going to be a maximum point up here. There's going to be a high point. If this is my profit function, I want to find that point, right? This tells me that there is a maximum point. If I have a graph that looks like this, the slope is getting, it's negative, but it's getting closer and closer to 0. Then it hits 0, and now it turns positive. That means f of x is greater than 0. It's positive. And that tells me I can find something like my lowest cost if my second derivative is positive. Okay. If you've ever taken a physics class, and maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but you always get this equation. It's one of the first equations they give you. That measures how far you traveled. So this is the distance you travel is 1/2 the speed at which you accelerate plus your time squared plus the velocity you started at, the speed you started at, times the time. So you use this to calculate things like if somebody, I had a weird physics professor, right? So if Bob jumps off the Empire State Building and Superman arrives at the Empire State Building 2 seconds after Bob jumps off it, how fast does Superman have to accelerate in order to catch Bob? Yeah. Okay? But the point of this is that you should look at this and go, there's calculus in this. Because if I take dx dt is my velocity. It's how fast I'm traveling. Which isn't in here, just how fast I started going. But how fast I end up isn't in here. But I can do it, right? 2. See why there's a half here? Because there's a 2 here, yes? And then the change in velocity over time ought to just be my acceleration, and guess what? That's what it is. So we do all this stuff in physics, which is exactly the same as what we do in economics, right? The same sorts of little equations that are just convenient. We're going to do them to find profit maximization or to find consumer satisfaction or something. They're going to be dropping Bob off of the Empire State Building. But either way, We're basically using the same sort of techniques. Does that excite you? Okay. Now, there is something called the chain rule. The chain rule, which obviously has something to do about chains. You think? No? Okay, don't believe me. What it says is dy dx equals dy du times du dx. We can put a second function kind of in the middle of this. And yeah. And you're like, really? Why would we do that? Well, let's look at this. Let us look at that. That is messy. If I want to find the first derivative of that, I got to multiply that whole thing. No. No. No, please, do not make me do this. Okay? But I can use Mr. Chain Rule. Okay? So I can define u equals 5x squared plus 3. Oh, now you see it. Now you see it. We're going to go to the next slide here, but let's look at this. dy du then, yes, is just, so this is just y is u to the 4th. Yeah? Oh. So I need dy du times du dx, where u equals 5x squared plus 3. Okay? Yes? So dy du, remember the equation, so it's y equals u to the 4th, where u equals that, right? Those are our two equations. So y du equals 4u cubed. Okay? Yeah. Du dx equals d5x squared plus 3 dx equals 10x. You with me on that? 10x? Not 10s, 10x. Okay. So now you're like, wait, really, really, really? I have a 4u cubed, which is 4 times 5x squared plus 3 cubed, and du dx is 10x. Okay? So I had y equals 5x squared plus 3 to the 4th power. dy dx is going to be 4 times 5x squared plus 3 cubed times 10x. Yes, I know. You're calling your mom over going, Mom. That's why we have school in class, so you can't talk to your mom in the middle of class and you can't use your phone. All right, let's try another one. Okay, and this one's not as complex. So we're going to set u equals 7x plus 9, right? And we're going to say y equals u squared. So dy du equals 2u equals 2 times 7x plus 9. Okay. And du dx equals 7. You with me? Du dx equals 7 dy dx. So now I'm going to multiply those together. So dy dx equals 2 times 7x plus 9 times 7 is 14 times 7x plus 9. Do you want to multiply that out? Because we're having a good time. 7 times 14 is 98x plus 126. It's dy dx. Now, just to prove that we're not wrong, let's do this the hard way. And again, we get to have all this fun in summer school that we don't get to have other times. Okay? So we multiply that times that. That's 49x squared. Then we multiply that times that. That's plus 63x. We multiply that times that. That's plus 63x. And that times that is plus 81. Now, we can derivatize this, right? That's y. So we can find dy dx equals 98x plus 63 plus 63 plus 0 is 98x plus 126. So we could, if we multiply this all out, we get that. If we just be simple-minded and use the chain rule, yeah, just simplify it, use the chain rule, same thing, but much easier most of the time, right? Because I don't have to do nothing. No? Okay? Do you want to do another one of those just for fun? All right. How about y equals 4x to the 5th minus 1 to the 7th power? So y equals u to the 7th. U equals 4x to the 5th minus 1. So dy dx equals dy du times du dx. Yes? Equals 7u to the 6th times 20x to the 4th. Okay? That equals 7 times 4x to the 5th minus 1 to the 6th power times 20x to the 4th is 140x to the 4th, 4x to the 5th minus 1 to the 6th power. Imagine trying to write that all out. Multiply that sucker all out to get an answer. Imagine doing that. That would be no fun. Like, no fun. Like, yeah, no fun. Okay? Okie dokie. So, hang on now.